Whoa, what is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. Didn't do a post-game video yesterday because I stayed on with you guys for about an hour and a half after the game, but figured while I'm on my lunch break, doing a quick recap of the game and really talking about the identity of this New York Giants football team and why they are, in fact, for real. It is time for fans around the league to start taking the New York Giants very seriously. Whether you're a New York Giants fan, whether you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, whoever you root for, it's time for people to start taking this team for real. Do I understand why people were not up until this point, why people doubted the New York Giants? 100%. This is a team that has not won very many games over the last 4 or 5 years, and they need to prove themselves, and they have done that so far through the year. They are 5-1. Any team that is 5-1 needs to be taken seriously, and they're not just a cheap 5-1. However you want to say it, they have beaten good football teams at this point. They beat the Baltimore Ravens. They beat the Green Bay Packers. They beat the Tennessee Titans. Did they have a missed field goal against Tennessee? Sure. They've caught some breaks. Most teams that are 5-1 are going to catch some breaks. Most games in the NFL are very tight games. We know that very well as New York Giants fans. In prior years, the New York Giants had plenty of tight games when they won 4 or 5 games throughout the season, but they found ways to lose those games. This team is overcoming adversity on a weekly basis and finding ways to come out with W's. Let's quickly recap yesterday's game and some of the things that should be talked about and what this team continues to do. Second half adjustments continue to be a huge, huge factor with this New York Giants football team. You know, I said it throughout the live stream, and you've seen it now through 6 weeks under the Brian Daboll regime. In the first half, it's kind of like a boxing match where they kind of feel out their opponent. That's the feeling that Daboll's Giants give me. They don't really show all their cards. They see what their opponent presents them, and then they make adjustments in the second half, and it was more of the same this week. For the third time this year, the New York Giants made a second half comeback against a good football team. They were down by 10 at the half against the Packers. They were down by 10 at the half against the Titans. I think they were down by 4 at the half this week. Maybe it was 3 at the half. They were definitely down by 10 either late into the third quarter or early fourth quarter this week. And again, they found a way to overcome that with second half adjustments. And it's on both sides of the football. I know a lot of people only want to point to the defensive side of the football, which so far under Wink has been incredible this year. But the offensive side of the football, for me, has been just as impressive. And I'll talk about it in this video, what I mean when I say that in terms of the identity of this football team, knowing the strengths, knowing the weaknesses of your team, and playing to that. That is what Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka on the offensive side of the football have done. Now, Wink certainly deserves a ton of credit, and the defense has carried this football team for a lot of these games, but it has been complimentary football, and that is why I'm so encouraged with this New York Giants team, and I think this offense is only going to get better. It's only going to get more explosive as the season progresses, but Daboll knows that it's about situational football with this team. He knows we're limited at the wide receiving core, but we're still having very good drives. I posted a stat on Twitter. I looked into it. I was amazed when I read it. The New York Giants, over the last 2 weeks, have had drives lasting over 7 minutes in length 2 times and 4 total drives in which they've had drives for over 6 minutes and 45 seconds. And all of them have occurred in the second half against the Green Bay Packers, who had the best third down defensive football going in, and against the Baltimore Ravens, who I think we could all agree are supposed to have a pretty good defense. So I went back and I looked at 2021. The New York Giants in 17 games last year with Joe Judge and Jason Garrett did not have one drive that amounted for over 7 minutes in length. Not one. They've had 2 in the last 2 games, both occurring in the second half, and they've had 4 that have been over 6 minutes and 45 seconds. Also, if you combine 2 of their drives in the second half over the last 2 weeks, they've both amounted to over a quarter's length worth of time. So they have kept their opponents off the field. They have gotten Lamar Jackson out of rhythm. They have gotten Aaron Rodgers out of rhythm, and that's the offense. That's the offensive philosophy, and that speaks to picking up key third downs. The Giants against the Packers were 6 of 10. I know it says 6 of 11. One of them was an intentional, way in which they didn't pick it up, obviously, when they took the safety. This week, they were 50%. They were 7 of 14, and once again, another one includes I think when they kneeled out the clock, maybe one of them was a third down. Regardless, even if it was 50%, that's still great. That's still a lot better than it's been in the past. So the Giants continue to move the chains. They continue to have strong drives. And what did you see? You saw the defense in both of those games close out the football game. The week before, it was Xavier McKinney knocking down the ball from Aaron Rodgers. This week, it was Kayvon Thibodeau with the strip sack. It was Julian Love coming up with the interception after Lamar Jackson bobbled the snap and he threw up a ball. And the New York Giants came up with a play. And a big reason why they probably did on defense was because the offense kept them rested. When you win the time of possession, the defense is able to flourish and close out the game at the end of these contests. And the New York Giants, it may be ugly to some people's standards. It may not be the prettiest brand of football. We're not the Kansas City Chiefs. We're not the Buffalo Bills, not yet anyway. But this team is finding ways to win, and it ain't fluky at this point. This team is 5-1. And they're finding ways to help each other on both sides of the football. And it has become way too consistent for this now to be considered a fluke. This team is relying on Saquon Barkley, and they're relying on Daniel Jones to make plays with both his legs and his arm. Not so much this week with the legs, but Jones made several key passes in this game. On their first touchdown drive in the first half, which I don't even know how long that was in length. I only looked at their second half drives. Jones completed a third and 14, and then he completed a 3rd and 11 on the same drive. Old Daniel Jones ain't doing that. Daniel Jones now has 4 game-winning drives through 6 weeks. He had 3 game-winning drives his entire career going into the season. He's already surpassed his career game-winning drives going into the year in just 6 games. His third down efficiency has been much better than it's ever been in the past, and you're seeing a much different quarterback, a confident quarterback under Brian Daboll, and it speaks to the coaching staff and everything else. On the defense, so many great individual performances this past week. And it's somebody new every week. Dexter Lawrence continues to get pressure up the middle. Obviously, Kayvon Thibodeau with the huge play, and he was getting pressure throughout the game. Julian Love came up with a huge batted ball in the end zone, came up with the interception. He's been really good. He continues to get better. And it's just somebody new every week. And everybody is stepping up when given the opportunity. I can't say enough great things about this team, but what I'm going to continue to say, and that's why I titled it in the video, this New York Giants team is very real. And we're going to talk about it all throughout the week. And at this point, I am not just projecting it. I expect the New York Giants to make the playoffs. Going into the year, I was trying to be as conservative as I possibly can because, let's be real, this team has let me down and let so many other people down over the last 5 years. It was a new regime. I was trying to go in with a slow mindset for the simple reason I don't want fans jumping all over Brian Daboll and jumping all over Joe Schoen in the first year with what we all thought, or a lot of us thought, was a somewhat limited roster. But now I think we're starting to see that coaching is getting the most out of these players, and maybe this roster wasn't quite as limited as we all once thought. And if it is limited, this coaching staff is finding ways to get the most out of the strengths of this roster, and they're masking some of the deficiencies, which is exactly what good football teams do. But if you're a Giants fan right now looking at the rest of this schedule, what game do you look at and say to yourself, there's no way we can win this game? I don't look at any of the games that way. I just don't, because I think this team is getting better and better each and every week. I really, truly believe that. I think our quarterback's getting better. I think our offensive line is getting better. I think our defense is getting better, and I think it's only going to continue. The Giants also in the red zone continue to flourish on both sides of the ball. We have one of the best red zone defenses in football, and again, we did it again yesterday. Yes, did we give up some chunk plays? Absolutely. Did Mark Andrews carve us up? Absolutely. Did Lamar Jackson have some plays with his legs? Absolutely. But when they got inside the 20, for the most part, the Giants held strong. On the other side, the offense. You're talking about a team that had the worst red zone offense in all of football the last 2 years. I think it was 32 and 31 the last 2 years. The Giants coming into the game were 13. I think they're probably ranked right around there. And in this game, once again, they were 60% from within the red zone in terms of scoring touchdowns, and it was really 80%. We were 3 of 5. It would have been 4 of 5. We all remember that Saquon Barkley fell down on the 1-yard line. That would have been a touchdown, and the Giants would have eclipsed 30 points, which is something I don't think they ever did under Joe Judge. Maybe they did it once, and last week they hit 27, which they only did once, I believe, under Joe Judge in a 60-minute game. They did hit 27 against the Saints last year, but that game went into overtime. So I think they only scored 20 points in regulation. So this offense is getting much better. The defense, we know, has been there since the start of the year with Wink. And as this offense continues to improve and continues to get better, that's only going to make the defense better. Because this identity for this New York Giants football team right now is simple. It's control the pace of play. It's control the clock. Keep the defense fresh. Have long, sustaining drives. It's going to keep the defense fresh, and it's going to get the offense on the other side out of a rhythm. Aaron Rodgers talked about it last week when I pulled up the video. He said he only had the ball one time in the first 20 minutes of the second half. And for Lamar Jackson this week, it was much of the same. And then you saw at the end, we were able to close it out. So just incredible complementary football on both sides. And this team is no longer a fluke. This team is going to the playoffs. This team knows their identity. They know what they do best. And I only expect that to continue. And I only expect them to get better for several of the reasons that I said throughout this video. I couldn't be happier today to be a New York Giants fan because the future looks so bright that I got to put these shades on. And second half next week, we're going to be wearing these, and we're going to be making those adjustments much like that coaching staff. I want to say thank you to all you guys for blowing up the streams yesterday. I had so much fun, and hopefully the New York Giants continue to do what they've been doing, which is pound the rock, have Daniel Jones make plays in key situations when he needs to, and the defense continuing to blitz and send pressure, create deception, and create turnover opportunities. We finally got our first interception, and we continue to hold strong from within inside the 20. We continue to be one of the best third down defenses in the NFL, going up against some of the better quarterbacks now the last 2 weeks with Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers. This team's for real. It's time to start taking them that way. As always, guys, if you like what you watch, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.